Hello everybody and welcome back to another breakdown video. I just told my dogs that I'm going to be recording for the next hour, so hopefully they don't need to go pee. But for those of you who watch the live streams over on Twitch, you would know that we did get a new puppy. His name is Toby, and yes, that is for Tobizaru. We're not actually going to call him Tobizaru though. It might be on his birth certificate, though. I don't know. But we are here to break down the Yokozuna Terunofuji, his 14-1 record, like we do between every Basho. I really hoped and was really pulling for the 15-0, but Meisei did get that upset. We'll analyze how he lost that match later in the evening, but first we have to go match by match, and it shouldn't take more than an hour to do, because a lot of Terunofuji's matches are either get a grip on the belt and push forward, or get pushed back, get a grip on the arms, and then push forward. So he's I wouldn't call him one-dimensional, but he definitely has a preferred style of sumo, and he is just so good at it that nobody can stop him, right? He is just so powerful and so strong and so big that, like, imagine if Hokuseiho was as wide as Terunofuji. Hokuseiho would be going 15-0 every match. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into this right away. The first match, day one, was Terunofuji versus Shodai. And for future reference, Terunofuji will be in blue, while his opponents will be in pink or yellow, or whichever color I accidentally click on with my little John Madden pen over here. So, coming into this tournament, a lot of people were like, oh, Terunofuji's coming back. It's a little worrying. His knees aren't at 100%. That's what Isagahama said. But, Isagahama also said that his Tachi was weak and has been weak. And it is, as you can see in this first match against Shodai, or rather you will see in this first match against Shodai. But he does improve as the tournament goes on, and he does continue to show us why he's the Yokozuna. So I'll just let this first match ride. The way we do this is we let the first match play through at full speed. I'll try to talk over it, similar to my live commentary. Toby, do you have to play with the super loud and crinkly toy while I'm trying to record? I love you, boy, but damn. All right. But the way we do this is I let the match go through at full speed. I talk over it, similar to my live commentary, like you can see back there. But it's more of an analytical speaking through. And then after that, we can go slow it down. And because we're watching on YouTube, on my all 15 days video, we can slow it down, play it back, go frame by frame, and all of that special fun stuff. So let's just get right into it. Terunofuji versus Shodai. And Shodai in this Tachi actually gets the better of Terunofuji. You can see straight off the push, Terunofuji tries to get the forearm up high, but gives up a good push to Shodai. That gets turned around at the very edge, and Terunofuji does turn him down for the win. So what goes wrong for Terunofuji after this Tachi? You can see he does get the forearm inside, and usually most yotsu-sumo wrestlers would go straight for the belt after that, but that's not what Terunofuji does. He tries to keep this forearm up high into the chest of Shodai to try to push back with that, which, he's done before and he is adept at, but because of this, Shodai is able to get this left hand under the armpit and tilt Terunofuji over to the side, putting him off balance and applying all of this pressure to this one leg, this one knee. And so that's going to drive Terunofuji back until he can regain his balance. So on this powerful push here, you could see Shodai, he has a big right hand to the the chest and neck area, which that's usually the way that Terunofuji loses his matches. He has this left hand trying to control the inside right of Terunofuji, and it does kind of break that inside push. But from here, Terunofuji, you can see he lowers his body. You can see he lowers these hips, braces himself for impact against the Tawada, and he pulls this arm out, which he's going to use to go for the throw in just a moment. So he kind of uses Shodai's own momentum against him there by getting pushed back, and then because Shodai is not straight on, he's kind of at this weird angle. His shoulders are bent over strangely. His feet and his hips are not exactly square with each other. Like his feet are pointing this way, his shoulders are kind of pointing, you know, a different direction. So not being completely on balance is what does in Shodai right here, because when he does find himself regaining balance, his feet are already coming out from underneath him. His shoulders are completely caught by Terunofuji now that he has his right hand inside. Terunofuji has this big right foot forward, using that back left foot as the brace against the Tawara, like I mentioned earlier. And using all of this, he just tilts Shodai up the other way, and that's how he gets the win. And you can see he's even standing up straight after that win because of the way he caught himself back on that Tawara. It's not a very big move, but that kind of small footwork is definitely a difference maker when it comes to, you know, these sumo wrestlers or any combat sport, really. So the second match is going to be, let me move my camera a bit. It's going to be against Abi. And usually we fear for Terunofuji in these matchups because Abi is that pusher thruster. Abi has gotten a good number of wins against him, and mostly because, like in that match against Shodai, like in previous matches against Abi and Tamawashi and Daieisho, we know that Terunofuji's biggest weakness is not being able to get a grip on your arms or on your belt, and you do that by attacking his face. You see that a lot in matches featuring Hokuseiho as well, even against the smallest guys like Kotonowaka, where they'll attack up high at the chest and the face, and they will do everything in their power to make sure they don't get grabbed. So it's kind of you have to do a lot in order to get the win, but if you do it well enough, you will get the win. Unfortunately for Abi, he runs into a brick wall this match, and there isn't much to say about it. He, like I said in the live commentary, he goes up high for the throat, and he slips back on the salt. It's that simple. That left foot just gets no traction underneath him. And even though this is a pretty good tachi for Abi, he has the hands up high to the face. We have Terunofuji trying to counter by getting the hands up in the armpits over here. But you'll notice by my Twitch chat over here, his foot is going to slip backwards, and that's going to cause this leg over here to buckle because it doesn't have any support from the other side, so he's just going to fall down. And it is anticlimactic and unfortunate when something like this happens, but that's just kind of part of the game. Abi slips at the tachi and takes the L. And again, just watch his feet. That left foot slips out right from underneath him. And it's not like he didn't have a good, strong start. As he was slipping, he still had a good, strong right hand up on Terunofuji's face, but, you know, he needed this foot to be here and driving forward, but it slips out from underneath him. He loses everything, and it's as simple as that. So it's unfortunate for Abi. I know there are a lot of Abi haters out there that probably enjoyed seeing this loss, which, you know, power to you, but I mean, Terunofuji gets the win by being a brick wall. I should have refilled my water before this. Day 3, Terunofuji versus Endo. Endo was looking pretty weak in those first 2 days, and he does eventually leave the tournament during the middle of the tournament, so he was fighting injury at this point. So not to write off Terunofuji's win here, because, you know, Endo is a strong opponent that has taken Terunofuji to the edge of a yusho before. But this tournament, Endo just wasn't powerful. And we'll see why he takes the loss in this match here. So Terunofuji gets that right forearm forward and tries to go for the pull on the arm. Endo counters with a spin to try to escape the grip, which isn't a terrible idea, but because of that, he loses a lot of momentum and lets Terunofuji go on the push forward, pushes out for the win. So the big thing that happens in this match is going to be right after the tachi, Endo spins away from a grip. Now, why does Endo go for this, and how does all this happen back to back to back? So right off the tachi, Terunofuji leads with this right shoulder straight into the chest as well as that right forearm inside, like we saw against Shodai. And when he pulls away, we can kind of see that he has a grip on the right arm. So right from the Tachi-ai, Terunofuji dove in to try to get a grip around this right arm and then go for a pulling attack. From there, Endo, what he does to counter is he spins away from it. So instead of trying to just wrench himself away or try to plant his feet and resist the pull, he goes with the momentum and spins out of it, which is it's an unusual move to be sure. But let's see this at full speed again, because his arm gets caught and then he slips away from it. He pulls that arm out and re-squares up against Terunofuji, except he's not exactly square. His hips are off in one direction with his feet. His shoulders are there to meet Terunofuji. And the risk with that spin move is showing your back to the opponent, first of all, which wasn't taken advantage of by Terunofuji because he wasn't fast enough. And second of all, you lose almost all of your momentum in what is usually a last-ditch effort escape tactic. So Endo, at this point, he is not squared up properly against Terunofuji, and Terunofuji remains on the attack forward. Not only that, but you can see Endo, his foot slips back to the Tawada, and now his body is completely off kilter. Like, he is way off balance here. It looks like he's about to tumble right into the dirt right away, and he does have to stumble to catch himself while Terunofuji remains on the attack. He gets the right hand up underneath the armpit. He keeps this left hand centered on the chest and head, and he's actually pushing down on the head right here. So he's really trying to make Endo go tumbling. And even though Endo catches himself, Terunofuji hits him with another shoulder charge at the edge of the ring, and Terunofuji earns the third victory. So this match, it didn't really show that Endo was injured or he was weak. It was mostly Terunofuji coming off of the Tachi-ai with this game plan of attacking that right arm and trying to pull. And because of that, Endo had to spin out of it, and that gave up all of the pressure that Endo may have had, all 1% of that pressure against the Yokozuna. And it was just Terunofuji moving forward the entire time after that pullback attempt. So not a good looking match for Endo, but it was a good win for Terunofuji. Now we have Terunofuji versus Tobizaru, which I never expect this to go well for Tobizaru as much as I have hopes and dreams in him. But he is a smaller guy who does try to do unusual things in the ring in order to get his wins. One of those was, that odd head-to-head he had against Hakuho a few years ago. And here he tries to do it by getting a double inside grip. And you're going to see why that is a bad idea. So he's slow to the Tachi-ai and lets Terunofuji walk forward, but here he tries to push forward at the chest, and even though he gets the outside left, Terunofuji immediately breaks it by exchanging it for an outside right, and with the double outside, he lifts up Tobizaru by the arms, and there's really nothing Tobizaru can do to fight the strength of the Yokozuna. So, from the Tachi-ai again, Tobizaru stands back and braces himself similar to how Uda does it, except Uda gets way low to the ground, whereas Tobizaru is all the way up here, which means, he's not going to be as springy when he bounces up for his attack. Like, if you think of your legs as coiled springs, this is not that tight. Whereas, again, using Uda, one of the fan favorites as a comparison, his legs and back would be all the way down here. And when he bounces forward for an attack, it's a very large force up against the chest. Whereas Tobizaru right here, he's just looking to catch Terunofuji. Terunofuji is the one to push forward, and you can see right off the Tachi-ai, he's about to throw this forearm forward up into the chest, and Tobizaru's game plan seems to be to catch the forearm and try to go from there. But seeing this, Terunofuji opts for the outside right on the arm, knowing that against a smaller opponent, he can get the double outside and just lift him up by the arms. What Tobizaru tries to do to counter this is he does at first attack the armpits and he's going to try to pull back here so he can either keep pressure up on the chest or try to get an outside grip on the belt, which I don't know why you would want to do that against one of the best yotsu-sumo wrestlers right now. But he does try to keep that grip, up in an uncomfortable position for Terunofuji. Tobizaru driving the shoulder up into the armpit. And this is a good opportunity to mention that I kind of don't like how zoomed in Abema is. If they were zoomed out just a little bit more so we could actually see, Terunofuji's head, that would be really nice. But that is what we got. So Tobizaru, he is kind of swimming here. He doesn't know if he wants to attack or defend, whereas Terunofuji, his entire objective is to wrangle this monkey and then just toss him out of the ring. So what happens next is Tobizaru does indeed pull back this arm and try to push it up against the chest of Terunofuji. You can see his right arm is also a little extended, pushing at the chest. And again, Terunofuji, he's standing strong against it. He's completely square against his opponent, hips, shoulders, feet, all facing that same direction. Whereas Tobizaru has to put in a lot more work to try to even get Terunofuji to move backwards. Here, Terunofuji gets the inside right. Tobizaru does get the outside left. And what I think Tobizaru is trying to do here is get the outside left and use the right arm to keep pressure on the chest so he can try to get to the side. But that's not what happens here because Terunofuji immediately switches the grip to the outside right and uses this to keep Tobizaru contained and in front of him. So, like I mentioned, if Tobizaru keeps this outside left, he can come around to the side and try to, spin Terunofuji like a top. But because Terunofuji gets this outside right grip, he already has the outside left around that right arm that is up high in the armpit. This is containing the flying monkey and containing Tobizaru until he finally locks in the Morozashi. And unless Tobizaru were to completely pull away and retreat immediately, there's nothing he can really do. So we're going to see it right here. Here comes the forklift. Lifting with your legs, not your back. That's exactly the form you need. And Tobizaru knew at the edge there. He knew he was got. You see in the chat, too big to fail. And that's kind of what it was. Terunofuji just couldn't be moved. And now, speaking it into existence, we have Uda coming up next. And like I mentioned, Uda usually sits back like a coiled spring and tries to catch his opponent. We'll see what he does here. I wasn't ready for it. My mistake. But we'll see what he does here. So Uda, he does stay low, but he's the one to attack and push forward, and he opts for this double inside grip because you can see he's trying to lower those hips and lift up Terunofuji by his own armpits. But Terunofuji is too tall, and that lift from Uda is not really working. So now Uda tried to pull back. Terunofuji keeps the Morozashi grip in control and gets the win. So not too much going on in this match because it's just Tachi-ai into chest-to-chest battle, but the most important thing is what happens right after the Tachi-ai. So like I said, Uda is actually the one to attack here. He usually, like I said, sits back, waits for his opponent to come in, and then springs up at them. But here, he's the one to move forward, and he's the one to jump up into the chest of Terunofuji. Quite unusual for Uda there. And when he does jump in, he gets exactly what he wants. He gets this double inside up high around the armpits, which is supposed to make Terunofuji uncomfortable because if you're applying pressure up to those armpits, that pushes your shoulders up. And when your shoulders get pushed up, you can't generate as much lift from these arms. So that's the game plan coming in for Uda to try to push Terunofuji not by the throat, but by his armpits. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't really work because Terunofuji is just taller than him. And even though Uda, he's going to get into a really nice stance. After he regains his footing, look at this stance. Look at this squat stance. This is textbook, except maybe the feet are supposed to be pointed in a little bit, but This is, if you go to the squat rack and I see you doing this, it's a little weird, but like straight back, legs out wide like a frog. Like, look at these dudes' leg muscles. He is trying to lift Terunofuji, but again, Terunofuji is tall. Terunofuji is just leaning on him. Terunofuji towers over him so much that he just leans down on him, and Uda can't get this lift. Like, this is a really good idea for Uda, but he may have the strength for it, but he just doesn't have the height, and that's really what makes the difference here. If these two are both the same height, you probably see Uda lifting Terunofuji up off of his feet. But because Terunofuji is just taller, there's nothing Uda can really do. And Terunofuji, now he's doing the pickup with his own arms. He's the one lowering his hips. Uda, again, getting really down low into this stance. Look at those legs trying to drive. He does hop back to try to get a better grip, but Terunofuji, when you hop back against your opponent, that gives your opponent the opportunity to move forward. Terunofuji moved forward, and that's all he needs to get the win. So 5-0, really good start for the Yokozuna. His only real challenge was against Shodai, surprisingly. Like, against Uda and Tobizaru, he was just trying to wrangle them. Against Abi, all he had to do was stand up and Abi slipped. Against Endo did have a creative move that may have thrown Terunofuji off, but it didn't work out in the end for him either. So now we have Nishiki versus Terunofuji, and, just an aside here, I do think Nishiki was fighting way above his pay grade, but the fact that he, didn't do so bad this tournament, kind of similar to Wakamotoharu constantly proving me wrong. I like it when I'm proven wrong by these guys that, are not really rated that highly, underrated, underappreciated. So Nishiki coming out and doing really well for Maegashira 4. Really good for him. Terunofuji versus Nishiki. I never really had a hope in Nishiki to get the win here, but he does start off with a good Tachi-ai. He does stumble a little bit, but now he's trying to go for the inside right, outside left. And Terunofuji does seem to be struggling to push him forward. Nishiki doing a good job of keeping his head low to try to push into that chest, but Terunofuji uses that against him and pulls him down to the ground in what is probably the closest match so far, bar Abi. This yotsu-zumo match is different from the ones we usually see Terunofuji do, because he doesn't get the double outside, and he has to try to fight through not just the chest, but also the head of Nishiki. So right off the Tachi-ai here, Nishiki going for the outside left, and Terunofuji immediately tries to pull back slap down off the Tachi-ai. This left arm from him, if he hits it on the back, he probably does slap down Nishiki, but Nishiki is going to catch himself and continue the push forward. And, not a bad idea from the Yokozuna to meet at the Tachi-ai, feel all that pressure, step back, slap down. We see that so many times in sumo in general. But Nishiki, because he catches himself, it's difficult now for Terunofuji, because Nishiki has the inside right, outside left here, and even though the outside left really isn't doing anything, it is kind of controlling this arm of Terunofuji, because I've mentioned it a lot of times in other yotsu-zumo matches. If you pull up this arm into your own armpit, you can control the fact that it's not on your belt, and you are in control of this shoulder. So Nishiki gaining control of that armpit a little bit, losing it, trying to get a grip on the belt, but he is going toe-to-toe with Terunofuji just at the chest-to-chest level. In a little bit, you're going to see Nishiki right here. Terunofuji steps back again, and Nishiki will start driving the head into the chest as well, getting low and trying to drive forward. Now it's the opposite thing going on, where Terunofuji is in control of this shoulder, and Nishiki can't really do anything with this dangling left arm, so he's trying to use his head as leverage instead, while his right hand keeps pressure on the belt and trying to control the hips of Terunofuji. Terunofuji is resisting that well, and you're going to see it in a little bit. He does eventually get the push forward because he just has a strong, solid base. Like, his base is wide, his hips are wide, his legs are huge. He has the muscle in order to push forward for this win, even if Nishiki is able to generate a more pointed force at Terunofuji's chest. So from here, Nishiki is the one getting pushed back to the Tawara, and at this point, we see this so many times. At this point, you're pushing against the Tawara. You are pushing forward as hard as you can. You're leaning forward, and your opponent, he's pushing against you until, oh, no, I'm just going to let you fall. It's that push into the pull, kind of like at the Tachi-ai, where Terunofuji got the push and then tried to pull Nishiki down, but Nishiki caught himself. The same thing is happening here, except Nishiki, now he's not going to be able to catch himself because Terunofuji uses this right hand inside against Nishiki. He pulls back away from the shoulder so he can get a grip on this arm and go for the throw, letting Nishiki fall down to the ground because, again, when you're at the edge, you're pushing forward as hard as you can. You're leaning as hard as you can. He had his head into Terunofuji's chest. And when Terunofuji is like, all right, you don't have my chest anymore. I'm going to move to the side. I'm going to square away from you. And you can see it's a really good stance. Feet wide, hips square with the feet. Shoulders are getting there because he's doing this pulling motion. Nishiki just falls. So really good last second maneuver from Terunofuji. He may have won anyway if he just kept on pushing forward, but it's the smart thing to do. Use your opponent's momentum against them. You know, it's in the art of war. But yeah, 6-0 for Terunofuji in what was a really good match from Nishiki. Never had full control, but Nishiki tried his damnedest anyway, you know? Up next, we have Kinbozan, who Kinbozan, after starting 3-3, really struggled for the rest of the tournament. And, you know, he is new to this top division. He is a rookie. His hair isn't even in a top knot yet because his hair isn't long enough to be in a top knot. So it just does give you an idea of what to expect from the Kinbozer dozer. Terunofuji leads with the double inside, or the right inside again, uses the outside left to get the throw. It looks like there was a bit of a stutter in the video too, don't mind that. But now you can really start, you know, we haven't seen the Yokozuna in a while, but we can really start getting a sense of how he likes to lead at the Tachi-ai. He throws the right shoulder into the face and gets the right hand inside. He likes to get the right hand inside using this forearm to push forward or get the inside grip on the belt. He leans over to this side every time to get a right or a left hand outside grip, either on the arm or on the belt. Like in the case against Endo, he got it on the arm. In this case against Kinbozan, he gets it on the belt. Kinbozan tries to reciprocate that by getting a left hand on the belt. I keep mixing my lefts and my rights because I'm talking for both of these guys. But in this very quick yotsu battle, Terunofuji gets the favorable grip. He has the outside left on the belt, inside right under the arm. And like I was saying in the Nishiki match, if you can get your hand under the arm, pull it up, you leave this left hand dangling. It can't reach the belt and it can't really do anything else. So you have the advantage 2 hands to 1. Terunofuji stands him up chest to chest, and this frame kind of speaks it all. He's leaning forward into the chest. He's driving these knees, and Kinbozan doing everything in his power to stop him. That left leg is fully extended. Right leg is, you know, squared up to try to stop it, but none of that really helps because he just doesn't have the strength. And Terunofuji throws him off to the side. Yeah, there is a stutter in the video itself. Not that you'll really miss much there. It is a simple Terunofuji gets his favorite grip, pushes forward, gets the win, and that'll move us into Terunofuji versus Kotoshoho, which I feel for Kotoshoho. And, you know, excuse me for having these asides about his opponents, but it does add a little bit of context. Kotoshoho, the last time he was this highly ranked on the Banzuke, he got injured, fell to Judio, and was down in Judio for a year. And it feels like the same exact thing is happening. He's at Maegashira 5. He pulled out in the middle of the tournament, came back to try to get a few more wins so he doesn't fall that far. And I feel like he's back on his way to Judeo, which is really unfortunate because I like Kotoshoho. I want to see him succeed. But every time he makes it this high, he gets double-digit loss record. And it's a shame to see, but he is, on the younger side. His younger brother, Kotote Bakari, is on his way up as well. So, Kotoshoho does have good practice. He does have, good support beneath him. It's just, I don't know if there's a mental block for him where he can't win against these guys, or if he did something like Takayasu where he tweaked something on day one and just couldn't win. Or maybe he's using that as a convenient excuse, like, oh, I pulled out of the tournament because I was injured. That's why I'm doing so bad all tournament anyway, because I was fighting hurt. And it's like, I wouldn't put it past a sumo wrestler to kind of use that as an excuse, but I'm also putting words into the mouth of someone that hasn't said anything. So ignore that last few sentences. I'm not trying to misattribute quotes to anybody or accuse anybody, but, I just feel for Kotoshoho. I want to see him succeed, and we're going to see him completely flounder against the Yokozuna here on day 8. Terunofuji gets the inside right, outside left like he usually does. Kotoshoho trying to pull back and away the entire time, but he didn't really have anywhere to go and walks himself backwards out of the ring. So right off the Tachi-ai here, you could see... Actually, if I go back a little bit further, Terunofuji tries to do his usual thing where he throws that right forearm inside, but it actually gets countered by Kotoshoho here because he throws his left forearm inside to meet it and actually gets the inside grip because of it. It was really fast. That was a quick smack. But in these frames, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Terunofuji, he throws this right forearm like he usually does, and then because Kotoshoho throws that left forearm, Terunofuji tries to go for the outside right, but they clash elbow to elbow right here. You can see Terunofuji tried to pull this forward and reach for the belt, but when these elbows clashed, you saw his arm like jitter back. Like that was a harsh clash, which, that's what sumo is at the Tachi-ai. And it's not like it's a bad Tachi-ai from Kotoshoho either. You can see he pulls back to try to get, a better grip on something, but Terunofuji, a lot more experience, keeps a solid, stable base, and then gets this forearm back inside. So Kotoshoho now has the option. Does he try to push up into the armpit and contain this arm, or does he just try to go for the outside left on the belt? And he kind of doesn't choose either of them because he's fighting full-bodied against the Yokozuna here. Terunofuji keeps his base as solid as ever. He keeps this right forearm inside and pushes away at the belly of Kotoshoho, so Kotoshoho has a tougher time of getting anything done, while it is on the far side, but you might see Terunofuji probably has the grip on the outside left of Kotoshoho's arm, pulling it up into his armpit, making it useless. So from here, Kotoshoho is going to start trying to pull back because he senses a lot of danger, like, danger, Will Robinson. As Terunofuji gets the inside right, so Kotoshoho to counter pulls back and away around the Tawada. And as he does that, he doesn't really find any room for a counterattack because Terunofuji stays on him the entire time with this outside left on the belt. And because Terunofuji never loses that grip, or rather he does lose that grip, but because Terunofuji had that grip, he is able to stay chest to chest, pursue, and like I said, even though he loses the grip, he's still trying to find, a hand on him somewhere. He had it up on the arm, now he has it down on the leg. He's trying to keep his hand as close to the body as possible so he can keep this forward momentum going, while Kotoshoho just runs himself out of the ring. As long as he keeps the pressure on, he gets the win. Kachikoshi for the Yokozuna. On day 8. Oops, sorry about that. And this is where things got exciting. I won't I won't say that I saw anyone complaining about Terunofuji after this match. It was more of a, this was a good match for Meisei than it was a bad match for Terunofuji. And that's what generally a lot of people will say, especially for Terunofuji. It's like, oh my God, he lost a match. His knees are done. He's going to retire. His knees are done. His knees are done. He lost a match. He's dead. He's dying. He's in the grave. He's 2 knees in the grave already, guys. And I got to say, I didn't see that after this match. And I like that. I appreciate that because it was more celebrating Meisei's win than it was lamenting over the imminent demise of the Yokozuna, which that wasn't happening. So I do really appreciate the sumo community not going, crazy over their Terunofuji's about to retire conspiracies. But let's get into this match. It is Meisei versus Terunofuji. It did get Meisei an Outstanding Performance Award and a Gold Star, which usually defeating the Yokozuna as a Maegashira will get you an Outstanding Performance. And a lot of people may be confused as to why Terunofuji is fighting a Maegashira 6 in the first place. I was waiting for the bar to get out of the way, but a lot of people might be confused as to why Terunofuji might be fighting a Maegashira 1 in the first place. That's because on the Banzuke, Terunofuji can only fight down. He has nobody next to him or above him that he can fight, so he can only fight down the Banzuke. And he has 2 stablemates right below him in the range where he would usually fight. Those were Nishiki Fuji and where is his name? Midori Fuji. So those 2 guys are already taken off the list. He can't fight them. And of course, he's not going to fight Takakeisho until day 15. He's not going to fight the Sekiwake until the 2nd week. And the Komusubi, one of them was absent. Wakataka Kage was out. And Takayasu, he pulled out, but he did come back during the 2nd week. So with 4 people he can't fight in those top ranks, he does have to reach all the way down to Maegashira 6, which is not something you usually see, and he has to fight against Meisei, which we were better off for it because we got to see a Gold Star match and we got to see the Zabuton fly for the first time since Shodai's match against the Yokozuna that he won a while ago. I don't remember which one it was, but I do remember seeing the Zabuton hit Shodai in the head, and that was pretty funny. So for those of you who still may not understand why Meisei fought the Yokozuna because of the large disparity in ranks, it's because 2 of the other guys within the ranks that Terunofuji would have fought were his stablemates, and 2 more were absent. So without Wakataka Kage, Takayasu, Nishiki Fuji, and Midori Fuji, he has no one to go down to except for Meisei, if you really want to keep it fair. Now you could say, oh, he didn't fight Daieisho this tournament. Meisei versus Terunofuji, Daieisho versus Terunofuji. I don't make the schedule. And at that point, Daieisho was still in the yusho race anyway, so they want to hold off those matches until the end. And they also didn't know if Takakeisho was going to get his winning record, because if he didn't, then they would have had Terunofuji versus Daieisho, but they also didn't have Terunofuji versus Daieisho because Asanoyama was also in the yusho race. And there's a lot more to the schedule than just match these guys next to each other on the Banzuke. There's a lot more that goes into the schedule that we can discuss another time. I'm going on too far off of a rant. We're barely halfway through the video and it's been 40 minutes. So let's get into this match. Terunofuji versus Meisei. Meisei gets the better charge and he does try to pull back. He does get a grip on the outside right, trying the Katas Kashi, which is what I thought Tobizaru might have tried to do in that first original match, but using that pull into the push gets Terunofuji off balance enough so that Meisei can push forward for the win. So what goes wrong for Terunofuji here is the operative question. Well, at first the Tachi-ai, he loses the Tachi-ai. Look at him get smacked back by Meisei. Meisei has a good stance, inside left, right is also attacking really well, and he's tilted his shoulders over to the side so he can try to tilt Terunofuji as well with him. This causes Terunofuji to bounce backwards, and Meisei stays on the attack. You can see him throw the left hand inside, and Terunofuji tries to catch him by putting that right hand low. And even though he does kind of catch and does kind of contain, Meisei is going to pull back and then recharge again and again until he gets the favored grip that he wants to get, which is going to be around the left shoulder, Meisei's right hand on that left shoulder, so he can pull back for that Katasukashi. So we'll see. We can actually slow this down here to a 0.5 speed. Right here, pulling back, the only advantage that Terunofuji had, he pulls back and then goes for the slap down while he twists his arm so he could pull Terunofuji back and down. But what Terunofuji does really well here is he keeps these feet underneath him. He does not let himself get smacked down. He keeps his hips and his feet in sync, so he keeps his center of gravity above this, these stable tree trunks he calls legs and those bionic knees of his. And through that, he is able to survive the Katasukashi, which I said back in the Tobizaru match, that's probably what he wanted to do, is use the outside grip to get to the side and spin Terunofuji down. But Meisei does the opposite. He uses the inside grip, and he uses that to spin around and keep a firm grasp on Terunofuji, clamping him and trying to pull back. But like I said, Terunofuji, his base is so solid. He's going to try to get the grip again right here. Gets the grip on the inside belt, pulls back again on the arm, and he just can't get that pull down. So what he does after that is he gets really low. You can see he's low. He actually has a stable base, not like Abi. He's going to use those hips to push forward like a spear into the chest, like we usually see Uda do. Push straight into the chest of the Yokozuna, and because Terunofuji was just being pulled, he's pushing himself forward to compensate for the fact that he's being pulled. But now he's going to be thrown off balance because after pushing to save himself from falling, he's going to be pushed back this way. And even though he does have a nice solid base with these legs, it's too strong from Meisei, basically. Meisei overpowers him, lifts him up by this inside right on the belt, which is a little loose. Like you could see it right here. It's a little loose on Terunofuji, but that is the grip Meisei gets on the belt. He never lets it go. He pulls Terunofuji up by the hips, gets Terunofuji off balance, and pushes right through him, which that's the loss for Terunofuji. I don't remember the last time I've seen Terunofuji lose a yotsu-zumo match like that, but at the same time, it wasn't just the yotsu-zumo. It was that Katasukashi attempt, that pulling arm throwdown move that he's attempting right here, which keeps Terunofuji off balance, running around the ring, and then back on the push, pushes him up to standing position. And when you're in a standing position, you can't lower those legs. Here goes a Zabuton right here. Hold on, watch it fly. He's gonna wee, just wee. Right there, we see Zabuton fly. And again, that wasn't a bad match from Terunofuji. That was a great match from Meisei. Meisei came in there with a game plan, executed it as well as he could, and even though his initial win attempt, that Katasukashi, didn't work out, he does get the gold star. And again, I'm really happy to see Meisei get it. I was also really happy to see the community not go, oh my god, Terunofuji's gonna retire, because they recognize Meisei had a really good match here. Unfortunately for Meisei, he would lose every single match in the upcoming week. Next up is Terunofuji versus Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka, he's young. He likes the yotsu-zumo as well. And, a lot of people make the jokes about him seemingly having 4 boobs, and 4 boobs are more powerful than 2. But here, the power of the Yokozuna, even though it runs through Kotonowaka's veins, his grandfather being the Yokozuna Kotosakura, he's not Yokozuna material yet. He is barely Komusubi material, and although I want him to be higher and I want him to be, Sekiwake and Ozeki, he's simply not ready for it because of what you're about to see. Terunofuji gets the better push forward and double outside, gets the grip on the Sagari actually, uses that as his leverage to push forward. And after he loses that grip, Kotonowaka, chest to chest, can't push him out at the edge, just could not finish him off. And now double outside on the belt for Kotonowaka, not usually the position you want to be in, because Terunofuji, or rather not double outside, he actually has a outside right, inside left. So not a bad position to be in for both men here in this Yotsu battle. And, that height coming in as a factor as well for Kotonowaka. But like I said, he just didn't have that kill shot that he needed at the very edge. Terunofuji recovers, slows it back down, tries to wonder what he can do from here. Gets turned, but Terunofuji turns him back. And I mentioned the height because that is important. Like I said, against Uda, he's too short. Tobizaru, too short. Kotonowaka, roughly the same height. So he's actually able to do chest to chest, belt grip, and, take it to the Yokozuna. A lot of this match is pretty slow, but from the Tachi, you could see it is, once again, Terunofuji throwing this forearm inside. It's going to get countered again by Kotonowaka throwing his elbow more inside to try to push away at the Yokozuna's initial attack. Because of this, Kotonowaka kind of throws himself off balance. You could see his arm being too far inside makes it uncomfortable for his chest and shoulders. So Terunofuji actually gets the push forward and gets Kotonowaka at the edge. But because Terunofuji, his left arm is up high, now Kotonowaka at the Tawara gets the grip up high into the armpit, pulls the arm up, makes it useless, and tries to get the inside left on the belt. Whereas Terunofuji, he doesn't have a grip on the belt. He's just pushing at the, I want to say the kidney area, although kidneys are in the back. So I guess just the lower abdominal area of Kotonowaka. Using this momentum now, Kotonowaka actually gets the double inside here and tries to use this to throw to the side. Tries to step this back, throw to the side. Terunofuji, again, keeps his footing. He's very good at that footwork. And now, giving up double inside on the belt, Terunofuji, like I mentioned during the full speed, he has a grip on the Sagari, which does help a little bit, but it's not as good as a grip on the belt. A grip on the belt is always going to be better because the Sagari come loose. The Sagari, they're just not the optimal grip to have. So it is relatively even until the Sagari do come loose. And because Terunofuji loses a lot of pressure, right here is when they get pulled up. And you're going to see Terunofuji drop it in a second. That makes Terunofuji lose a lot of pressure on the push. And if he had a grip on the belt, he would have won by now. But he didn't. So because he loses the grip on the Sagari, or rather because the Sagari come loose from the belt, he loses a lot of that pressure with that outside left, and now he either has to try to reset by getting the Morozashi grip around the arms and breaking the grip on the belt, or just try to keep this outside right on the belt and try to regain an outside left on the belt, which is it looks like that's what he's trying to go for. He does try to switch the grip to the inside left, actually, after throwing the Sagari to the side, and it does work, but in most cases, switching the grip, what that does is you have to pull your shoulder back in order to do it so you can slip it inside. And when you pull any part of your body back and away from your opponent, that's the go button for your opponent to push forward. And that's how Kotonowaka almost got the win here. But at the Tawara, Terunofuji is going to get the feet on the Tawara. He's going to lock in the grip inside left on the belt and then slow it back down after saving himself by, like I mentioned earlier, pulling this arm up into the armpit of Kotonowaka, and he makes him break the grip on the belt. Again, losing all of that force and all of that leverage on the belt, now Kotonowaka can't finish him off. So he just doesn't get that kill shot. Very close to the win there, but Kotonowaka lost the grip at the last second, does regain it as they go back into outside right, inside left yotsu-zumo. And right there, Kotonowaka had a good turn on Terunofuji. He uses his left inside and his shoulders to turn Terunofuji to the side, but then Terunofuji is going to use the same thing to turn Kotonowaka to the side in just a little bit. and get him out of the ring. So after resetting for a little bit, they are stalemated here. We were able to skip ahead for 5 seconds. And like I mentioned in a little bit, Kotonowaka is going to get the turn in an attempt to throw with the inside left, but then Terunofuji is going to use that to throw with his outside right. Right here, Kotonowaka tried the throw, but Terunofuji throws him instead. And like I said, Kotonowaka, he's not bad. He's still young, but he just can't finish those matches. It's like what I was saying about Kiribayama circa like a year ago before his ascension to Ozeki. He has good sumo. He's just not getting those wins. He's not there yet. He's almost there, but he's not there yet. And, I do hope to see the rise of Kotonowaka sooner rather than later. Now we have Terunofuji versus Hoshoryu, a battle between the Mongolians. Again, a legacy sumo wrestler, Uncle Asashoryu, everybody knows it. And I guess the question is, when are we finally going to get away from these legacies? I guess you can't escape it, but, Hoshoryu is definitely his own guy. What is his plan here against the Yokozuna? Tries to get to the outside left, like I mentioned earlier, Tobizaru should, and after being unable to do it, Terunofuji got the Morozashi grip and finished him off really quick. The Hoshoryu at the Tachi-ai, he goes high with the right hand to the chest and then tries to get to the side to get the outside left on the belt and then try to get around Terunofuji to spin him around. Unfortunately for him, Terunofuji is the Yokozuna, and he immediately recognizes this. It's not the best footing, like his feet are a little off balance. It looks like he's about to fall back this way, but he does manage to pull that right arm back out, get the double outside grip on the arms. He will regain his footing. And again, footwork is insane for the Yokozuna, especially when he's so big. Hoshoryu couldn't get that outside left that he wanted. Terunofuji locks in the double outside. And even here, Hoshoryu tries to go for this inside leg around the back, but usually that works when you're the one pushing forward. Or what he really should have tried to do was kick this leg up and go for a kakenage if he wanted to try to do this, but he couldn't even wrap the leg around and he just gets muscled on out. So Hoshoryu, like, no horsepower, nothing right there. Outclassed by Terunofuji. Next up, against Wakamotoharu. Wakamotoharu going high up to the shoulders, but Terunofuji gets the grip inside left, outside right. Outside right is not on the belt. They are exchanging it. Terunofuji pushed all the way back to the edge, but he uses that momentum against Wakamotoharu and gets thrown out of the ring. Now, it was here that a lot of people were saying, oh my God, he jumped out of the ring and he bent over, his knees. It's like, okay, guys, chill, shut up. But here, a good Tachi-ai for Wakamotoharu. You could see Terunofuji tried to throw this forearm inside again, but Wakamotoharu, he hops forward just a little bit and gets these hands up high to the throat and the face. That forces Terunofuji back, and his usual offense can't come out. So he tries to counter again by doing what he usually does at the Tachi-ai. He throws this shoulder forward so he can get the right forearm inside, and whatever leverage he's trying to get with that doesn't seem to work, because you can kind of see it here. If we go back frame by frame, Wakamotoharu is countering with this inside left. Come on, give me the good angle. Oh wait, no, that's his inside right. So Wakamotoharu is kind of doing the same thing, where his inside right goes across the chest. The left is up into that same area of the rib cage to try to push back Terunofuji and try to get a lock on this arm. So Terunofuji throwing that arm forward, it looks like Wakamotoharu is trying to get a grip around that arm to use to his advantage. Terunofuji, recognizing that, pulls it back, and now they opt for inside left, outside right for the both of them. But neither of them have grips on the belt just yet. Terunofuji stands him up and then leans back down in order to try to control him. And both of their right arms are dangling here. This is purely inside left on the belt versus inside left. I can't see if it's on the belt, but I assume it is. And then both of their right arms are dangling. So they only have the inside left grips. Wakamotoharu did try to get the outside right on the belt. And we will see in just a second if he did get that. No, he didn't. So what he does is he wiggles his hips away and uses the right arm to break the grip of Terunofuji, which expert move right there. Really well done right there, while he keeps the inside left grip. And because he keeps the inside left grip while breaking Terunofuji's grip, now, at the very least, it's 1 grip to 0. So now, using that, Wakamotoharu pushes all the way across the ring, but Terunofuji manages to regain the inside right grip and uses that to throw Wakamotoharu off to the side in what was, like, a really good advantage for Wakamotoharu there. Like, really good wiggle, really good push, but at the last second, he just couldn't finish it. And you could see he tries to save himself by getting that stiff left leg down on the ground to try to get some stability back. But right leg off the ground, no stability. Terunofuji picks him up by the belt to throw. And once again, that's just the strength of the Yokozuna. There really isn't anything else we can say about that. Good defense from the Yokozuna. Good attack from Wakamotoharu. He couldn't finish the job, though. And Terunofuji goes 11-1. And again, after this, like seeing this right here, everyone was like, oh my God, his knees. What's happening to his knees? He's bending over after jumping out of the dohyo. Oh my goodness. It's like, dude, I'm a healthy 28-year-old man. And if I jumped down the 2 feet from the dohyo to the ground, I'd be leaning over too. Let's be real. And he's completely gassed after a match. Like, guys, relax, please. He's not going to retire. He just went 14-1. He looked good while doing it. That's just me being annoying at this point. Oops. Alrighty. So next up we have Terunofuji versus Asanoyama. Oops. I did it again. Sorry. Now, the cool thing about this match is it is the return of Asanoyama to the top division. A lot of people were pulling for him. He did get upset by Hokuseiho in one match and lost another. I don't remember who that was to, but we will probably be breaking down his matches as well because he is the Jun Yusho winner. So it's not going to be this or next week, but the week after, because next week I'm going to be releasing my Guess the Banzuke. So if you want to see who you think, or if you want to see where I think people are going to be falling on the Banzuke, be sure to tune in to my video next week where we play Guess the Banzuke. And yes, I do think Ochi will make it to the top division, or at least I hope so, a lot. I'm not very good at Guess the Banzuke, as you can see by my scores of very bad, but it's always fun to play anyway. It's good to get more opinions. Terunofuji versus Asanoyama was a match that a lot of people looked forward to and didn't know that we would be getting so soon because, of course, Asanoyama was in the yusho race. He needed to fight the Yokozuna as a former Ozeki and, you know, as someone, again, in the race for the title, it's only natural that he gets to fight the Yokozuna. And again, if you're new to sumo, you're probably wondering, you know, why the hell is Maegashira 14 fighting against the Yokozuna? Similar to how we were questioning why is the Maegashira 6 fighting against the Yokozuna. And it's because of the way, you know, there is a little bit of, subjectivity? I think that's the right word when it comes to making the schedule, because it's not just record versus record and it's not just rank versus rank. There's a lot of context that needs to be understood behind it. And if you understand that Asanoyama is a former Ozeki, was the hope to be the next Yokozuna before he got suspended and before Terunofuji was on the come back up, it's natural that A, he is in the race for the championship, and B, we were going to see this matchup eventually, because C, there were instances last year and 2 years ago where very low-ranked sumo wrestlers, being Terunofuji being one of them, and Hoshoryu being the other one, the first one to do it from Maegashira 17, They won the yusho mainly because they didn't have any stiff competition until like day 14 and 15, if you wanted to look at the Banzuke. But I mean, who would have guessed it from Hoshoryu? Whereas in Terunofuji's case, like, of course he would yusho from Maegashira 17 because he didn't fight anyone strong until, you know, those last 3-4 days. So lately the Sumo Association has been correcting that and making it so that even if you are a lower ranked guy in the yusho race, you're going to be fighting these tougher opponents. And that's what happened to Hokuseiho. He didn't fight the Yokozuna, but he did fight the Sekiwake, and he very much struggled. So it's a good thing he didn't fight the Yokozuna. Whereas Asanoyama has already proven himself in the past as a former Ozeki and is in the same shoes that Terunofuji was in, you know, 2 years ago. So it's only natural that we do see this matchup. And I think understanding that context for this particular matchup would help you, you know, understand future matchups in case we do see another like Maegashira 16, 15, 14 who's at double digits on day 11, you know? So that's the reason why you will see these types of matchups. Terunofuji versus Asanoyama. Terunofuji gets the inside right, switches it for the outside right, and uses that to throw Asanoyama unceremoniously to the ground in what everyone was hoping would be a slobber knocker of a match. Was not really anything to write home about. So a bit disappointing, especially after all of that preamble I had for it, now that we passed the 1 hour mark on the video. But Asanoyama at the Tachi-ai, it's not a bad Tachi-ai. He has the outside left, inside right, Terunofuji inside right. He is going to, like I mentioned during the full speed, he's going to switch this to the outside right and go for the belt, use that for the throw. And the reason being, you can see Asanoyama is trying to keep these elbows down and in, push at the chest. Can't really see what the right hand is doing from here, but we can assume it is attacking outside. And we can see Asanoyama opts into this grip. He goes for the inside left, while Terunofuji goes for his favored outside right underneath the arms. And again, he's going to use that to pull back and twist Asanoyama down to the ground, throw him into the dirt. 12-1 for Terunofuji. Oh, I just realized I had the audio muted the entire time, so you can only hear me speaking and not hear anything else going on in the background. Not that it's on a very high volume anyway. I keep it at very low, but you know, that little bit of ambiance does help. I'm sorry about that if you guys thought that was weird up until this point in the video, where we see Terunofuji versus Kiribayama. This was on day 14 for the championship. And of course, Kiribayama already secured Ozeki. I was really hoping to see Daieisho versus Terunofuji, but Terunofuji and Kiribayama were head-to-head in the yusho race. The Sumo Association prefers to have a clear-cut winner, either going into day 15 or on day 15. That way, they don't run into their extra time where they would do the trophy presentation ceremony. And because if they run into that, that pisses off NHK, because then NHK doesn't want to delay the 6 o'clock news. So, you know, these old fuddy-duddies get mad about their programming being delayed by a few minutes. Terunofuji versus Kiribayama. It was going to happen eventually. Both of them were on this crash course, but you know, Kiribayama already having his Ozeki promotion. I'm not going to say that he went easy, because of course you want to get another yusho. And of course I'm not going to say he already secured Ozeki, so of course he wouldn't. Are we to believe that fellow Mongolian Kiribayama would not give up an opportunity at the yusho because his fellow compatriot from Mongolia, because that makes them best friends apparently, was challenging for the yusho after coming back to many doubts? Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say here. Shut up. Kiribayama, Terunofuji. Kiribayama gets the good start with the inside left up into the armpit, now up into the chest as Terunofuji pulls that right shoulder away, trying to contain that left arm of Kiribayama as he tries to reach inside for the left hand on the belt. Kiribayama blocking that with his own right arm in a similar fashion as they exchange those grips. Terunofuji really muscling in for that left inside. Kiribayama trying to stop it by any means necessary, but at the same time, Terunofuji locks in the outside right on the belt and uses that to get that grip on the inside left. Kiribayama still trying to break that grip with his inside right bicep. He can't reach for the belt. Terunofuji's just stalemated here for a little while. And now Terunofuji goes for the pull up. He has the double grip on the belt. He can try that, but it is a little loose on Kiribayama. It's going to be a little difficult when you don't have as much leverage as you usually do. If he locked it in on the inner layer of the belt, he would have full control, but now Kiribayama trying to push forward. Terunofuji getting the outside left, switching the grip, pushing forward, belly to belly, hand to the throat. Terunofuji for the yusho. Oh, what does this guy's shirt say? I see. I don't know if that's an F or not. UCT? Okay. It's not a bad word, guys. But yes, this match was it was a really good match. It definitely delivered, but you know, Kiribayama stays winless against the Yokozuna. I think Terunofuji is 10-0 in this head-to-head, and in what was a pretty good match, a pretty good finish to the tournament. Again, really good start for Kiribayama here. Gets the left hand up into the armpit to try to get control on this right arm while keeping the right hand to the chest. Terunofuji tries to counter that by pulling this right arm in so he can get this Morozashi grip on the arm. Doesn't really work out for him as he switches to pulling back that right shoulder, pulls it back so he can try to contain this arm from Kiribayama while using that left shoulder forward to try to get the inside left on the belt, which I mentioned during the full speed. Eventually, they will stalemate in this position for a little while, where even though there is motion going back and forth, what's really happening is fighting for this inside left on the belt from Terunofuji, fighting for the inside left on the belt from Kiribayama, and whoever locks it in is going to have a marginal advantage that they can build on. Neither of them really have it just yet, but Kiribayama does pull back the shoulder to pull up, switch it, try to dig in deeper for the belt. It doesn't really work out here, and it looks like he just gives up the inside left grip on the belt. Can't really see if he does have the inside left, but we do see that Terunofuji has the outside right on the belt, and it's dug in front of the belly. So usually when you see an outside right, it's like back here on the belt, but this is an kind of inside grip with the outside right on the, like in front of the hip bones of Kiribayama. So in theory, that would give Terunofuji more control. But like I mentioned earlier, he only has the outer layer of the belt, so he doesn't have full control over the hips of Kiribayama. He does, sure, have a grip on the belt. He can pull himself, oh, I'm using the wrong color here. He can pull himself in with this grip on the belt and, you know, get a better chest to chest. But unless he digs it in to all of the layers of the belt and gets, like, has his fingers up against the skin of Kiribayama, this is not the best grip. Not to say it's bad, but it's not the best. From here, they are going to be stalemated here, exchanging the outside right, inside left. Kiribayama is trying to break the inside left right here by using his forearm and bicep to apply pressure to Terunofuji's poor little fingies. Like, you got your little fingers on the belt and you're constantly getting pushed and pressed and pounded, and you know that's gonna hurt over time. He's trying to force Terunofuji to loose the grip right there, but it's just not happening. So during this stalemate, Terunofuji trying to pull him up, dig it deeper, but he can't get a better grip on the belt than he already has. So they just stay stalemated like this. We do kind of get an idea of what's happening on the far side. You can kind of see the elbow down here. I can't tell if that's Terunofuji's or Kiribayama's arm, but there's someone's arm reaching across to the other side right there. I think it's Okay, it was Kiribayama's, and now you can see, unless we're watching AI generation, see Terunofuji does not have a grip with this right hand, because there it is. And Kiribayama using his to counter it. So now it's one grip to one grip, inside left to outside right, as they hand fight for dominance on now this close side. Terunofuji switches the head side. So this may seem like something small, but this is a very important move right here. So this is something I've mentioned rarely in the past in other videos. See the kid from Home Alone emote popping up on the screen too. But this is something that doesn't usually come into play in discussion when it comes to, I should have just jumped back like this. When it comes to yotsu-sumo matches, but you see Terunofuji's head right here to Kiribayama's left. And then in a little bit, after locking in the outside left, he switches what side his head is on now to Kiribayama's right. And that's because you can use your head to push into your opponent while you throw by pulling up or, any other way. People forget that, your head is also a part of your body because, you don't want to hurt your head. You don't want that CTE. You don't want to end up like, some NFL players. But you can use your head to get leverage too. So if Terunofuji were to pull up, push his Thank you, Toby. Pull up, get his head pushing as well. That's leverage he can use to get a throw down. And again, a lot of people forget that because they see headbutts at the Tachi-ai, and then you rarely have a yotsu-sumo match go on like this where the positioning of your head is, an important thing. So it might seem small, but you're going to see Terunofuji is actually using it right now. He was pushing while he's trying to pull up and move his hips forward so he can get the push forward, and applying pressure to the head and neck of Kiribayama is what gets the win here because it pushes Kiribayama off balance. You can see his shoulders dipping down to the side, and that's because of the pressure Terunofuji applied literally head to head. And from here, Terunofuji lifts him up, hand to the throat, pushes him out, wins the yusho, and that is yusho number 8 for Terunofuji. A fantastic way to win, and I'm really glad to see him get this win. I was hoping for a 15-0, but I'll settle for a 14-1. Now, his final match of the tournament, like I was saying, I was really hoping for, Daieisho versus Terunofuji, but Daieisho was no longer in the yusho race. He could no longer get Ozeki, and Takakeisho did get his winning record. So with everything being settled, traditionally, the final day, day 15, will be the two most powerful men on the Bansuke fighting each other. Sometimes it's Yokozuna versus Yokozuna. Sometimes it's Ozeki versus Ozeki. In this case, it is Yokozuna versus Ozeki. And in this case, even though the Ozeki was weak with his 8-6 record at this point, he had his winning record. He was settled and squared away. Terunofuji already won the yusho. He was settled and squared away. So it's natural that we get to see the Ozeki versus the Yokozuna in day 15, even if this isn't the matchup everybody wanted to see. It is the matchup that is traditional and probably the Japanese fans wanted to see. So Terunofuji takes a strong charge, double inside for Takakeisho. Now Takakeisho is on the pullback, but he runs himself out of the ring. Not a very impressive match, not a very long match, very anticlimactic for the final day of the tournament, but this was the number 1 versus number 2, and, well, the number 2 didn't really have an offense. It looks like he did a number 2 in the middle of the ring, honestly. It's a Takakeisho. You can see at the start, it was a very quick motion, but Nekodamashi. A very, I'm not going to say it's a rare move, but it's not a move you usually see the Ozeki pull out. Using it against the Yokozuna, what the Nekodamashi is clapping in front of your opponent's face to try to distract them so you can get a better initial start, which I don't know if it worked here because Takakeisho does actually, Terunofuji threw that forearm inside, but Takakeisho converts the Nekodamashi double hands inside to getting double grip on the inside, chest to chest. Unfortunately for him, fighting through injury, and we knew this during the tournament, being pretty weak, chest to chest against the Yokozuna for a pusher thruster wasn't really going to work out because it's not his usual style. And even then, Terunofuji, he was getting pushed back, but the entire time he's controlling the arms. He was turning Takakeisho to the side to try to get Takakeisho off balance to go for a throw right off the Tachi-ai. But here, now Takakeisho is going to start trying to pull back and go for a slap down. But like we saw against his match earlier against Meisei, getting the slap down doesn't really work. I haven't seen Terunofuji fall on his belly since he lost to Hakuho. I mean, sure, he might have fallen on his belly a few times, but I don't remember those. So Takakeisho tries for the pullback, slap down, slapping at the head of Terunofuji, but Terunofuji, he just keeps moving forward. He pursues, he keeps the right hand on the belt and just uses that to control for the final win.
But it doesn't work. Nothing works against the Yokozuna.
14-1 for the Yokozuna. I really hope this douses any doubts in the Yokozuna. He wasn't even at 100% this tournament, and sure, he did lose one match, and sure, he did lose, he did lose a few of those Tachi-Ais, and before you guys complain about it, I know someone in the comments is going to point this out. This match fixing, that's a joke. He makes that joke all the time. It's not serious, and the running joke, the running gag in the chat, if you're unaware, is that, all the matches are fixed so that Tochinoshin can't become Yokozuna again. But I mean, at this point now, Tochinoshin can't ever become Yokozuna. But before anyone gets pissed off about seeing the match fixing comments, that is not serious. He was joking. Please don't get mad at him. Because I know in the past there have been people reacting to the comments left by my Twitch chat, and some of them were accurate. Yes, those were like especially the anti-Abi ones. But the match fixing joke right there, that's not serious. This is not a serious joke. Please don't actually think he thinks match fixing is real, because he does not. That's just part of the joke. Anyway, after explaining the joke and thus making it not funny anymore, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was breaking down Terunofuji's all 15 days. Next week, we'll be guessing the Banzuke. Yes, I do think Ochi will make it to the top division. I don't know what else to expect, though. Don't worry, Toby. I'll take you out in just a minute. Please don't go poop in the apartment. I do have to walk the dog really quick, so I will be back next week for that Guess the Banzuke video. And after that, we will do the Asanoyama video. And by the time that comes out, the next day, the Banzuke drops already. June 26th? Yeah, June 26th is when the next Banzuke is going to drop. And that is not that far away. So we will be getting there soon. And like I mentioned before, the next Basho is my birthday. Is right in the middle of it. It's going to be on day 3. It is July 10th. And Toby, please don't come under the chair. I've asked you this a million times, and you just sat on Bear's poor face. All right, I need to go walk the dog. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'm very proud of you, Toby, for lasting this long. Thank you so much. And I will catch you cats in the next one. I will, and another reminder, I will be streaming the sumo tournament live here on YouTube as well. The strikes are finally removed as of, in 2 days from when this video gets posted. So 5 days from when I'm recording it, which is Thursday Thursday the 8th, I'm recording this video. Those strikes will drop in 5 days. So 2 days after this, the strikes will go away. I will be able to stream the sumo tournament here on YouTube again. So please come back for that. I am going to try to make it as exciting as possible. And yeah, let's get back to it. Thank you again for watching. Have a good day.